hearing, he glorifies. That is reinforcement or reiteration. So if one does that, sa prayati param padam. So he becomes qualified or he becomes distinguished to attain to the supreme destination. So Bhagavad Gita gives us the path, the clear process, and also the final goal, how to achieve the supreme destination. The supreme destination bestows the living entity the fulfillment of all his inquiries, his quest, and his endeavors to experience unlimited joy. Sukhaṁ bandhāt pramucyate. So we'll continue. Before we take the verse, we will have Mangalacharan, and then we will discuss from verse number 3 today. Om ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri guruve namah. Shri Chaitanya manobhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadantikam vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapkanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paśyatya Hare Krishna. So we are on the 5th chapter, and as you know, Bhagavad Gita contains 18 chapters in total. It has been classified by Srila Vyasadeva when he presented this in the Mahabharata. And the first 6 chapters, Krishna is focusing on one aspect, which is karmanyevadhikaraste. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties. And prescribed duties can never be given up, even if one is sufficiently renounced or is even situated in knowledge. So we see this 5th chapter. So after hearing the 4th chapter, Krishna gave about transcendental knowledge. Arjuna, after hearing Krishna's instruction, as we discussed in the last session, Arjuna seems to be perplexed. Arjuna seems to be confused. He's not clear. So it gives impetus to all of us not to be disheartened if we are not getting the principles of Bhagavad Gita right. So Arjuna is showing us the proper method or the process how to get the right understanding is by clarification. Arjuna is clarifying with Kṛṣṇa. So Arjuna, in the first verse of this chapter, he inquired from Kṛṣṇa. In a way, he wanted to clear his doubt, his heart, with the apprehension that he had. So Arjuna says in the first verse that sannyāsam karmanam Kṛṣṇa punaryogam samśasi. On one hand, you are asking me to renounce the work. So this chapter is entitled as Karma Yoga Action in Kṛṣṇa Consciousness. This is the English title Srila Prabhupada is given. And if you see the Sanskrit title, it is Sannyasa Karmana Yoga. So how it is Sannyasa Karmana Yoga? Because this is the Arjuna's question or Arjuna's apprehension. Sannyas means renunciation. Renunciation of what? Of performing one's prescribed action, of duty. So Arjuna is asking that you were asking me to renounce work. And again you were recommending me to work with devotion. Yogam. Yogam means action in communion with the Supreme Lord. That is called yoga or karma yoga. So I want to know from you for sure. Please tell me one thing which is definitely beneficial for me. And with Arjuna's question, Kṛṣṇa does not feel that he has to give something new. Kṛṣṇa says that you are asking what is one thing which is beneficial. Actually, both are beneficial. If you see the answer in the second verse, which we discussed last time, Sannyasam karma yogascha nishreyasya karau ubho. Both are beneficial. What is beneficial? Sannyasa. Actually speaking, truly speaking, sannyasa is an element of jnana, knowledge. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita jñeyaḥ asu vairagyam. So how does renunciation or detachment come about? When one is situated in knowledge. So sannyas is an element of knowledge. And yoga means communion with the Lord by performing actions. So both are beneficials. Both are ultimately shreyas. How? Because both liberate. Both liberate the living entity in the material existence from bondage. Detachment based on knowledge, and second is action for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Both are beneficial. But for you, Arjuna, tayostu karma sannyasat karma yoga visheshyate. But at the platform at where you are situated, for you it is better for you to work in devotion than for renunciation of work. So we discussed last time in detail that how Arjuna misunderstood. That is how the mass of men do not understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. What truly is the message of Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita message is not for false renunciation, as many immature and unintelligent seekers conclude. No. It is, Kṛṣṇa reiterates and reinforces performance of one prescribed action, but with the spirit of renunciation, with the consciousness of renunciation. That is an art. To perform the action and not be affected by it. So we'll see further. So Kṛṣṇa will elaborate on how both are beneficial. This is the third verse. We'll start discussing from the third verse today in continuation. Ge sa nitya-sannyāsī Yo na dveṣṭi na kāṅkṣati nirdvandvo hi mahā-bāho sukhaṁ bandhāt pramucyate. Gya. Gya and jnana. You remember where this was inquired? Where did Kṛṣṇa speak about Gya? Anyone remembers? Anyway. So Gya means which is to be known. And how can one know? When one is in Jnana, in knowledge. So he is telling Arjuna that your question is based on not knowledge. So one who is in knowledge, he knows. Jñeyaḥ nitya-sannyāsī. Nitya means eternal or forever. And sannyāsī means one who is always renounced. So you should know that who is actually renounced, not someone who tries to escape from his responsibilities and duties. Spiritualism is not about escapism, which most of the people interpret as, or rather misinterpret. So what is renunciation? So Kṛṣṇa is defining what is true renunciation. There are two aspects of one who is truly renounced. Yena dveṣṭi na kāṅkṣati. Dveṣṭi means envy or aversion. One who is free from the duality of aversion. And kāṅkṣati. Kāṅkṣati means aspirations or desires. So one who is fully or truly freed from aversion and attachment, or one who is truly free from hatred and desires. A very high level of consciousness. Such a person is truly renounced. He is eternally renounced. He is always in renounced order. And what is the result of who is in such consciousness? He is nirdvandvo. He is freed from all dualities. What is duality? Duality means hot and cold, good and bad, favor and unfavored, or victory or defeat. So this brings anxiety. The dualities of this material existence always inflict anxiety in the heart of a living entity. So one who is freed from all these dualities or from the anxiety, sukhaṁ bandhāt pramucyate. Sukhaṁ means happiness. And bandhāt means bondage. And pramucyate means one who is freed. So one who is freed from bondage is very important principle. Unless and until one is freed from bondage of duality, he cannot experience happiness or sukhaṁ. So what is the process of achieving sukha? Is freedom from bondage. And what is freedom from bondage? One who is free from attachment and aversion both. So Kṛṣṇa is saying that this is the position of one who is renounced, who is truly renounced. And renunciation is an aspect of one who is situated in knowledge. So one who neither hates, let us see the translation, one who neither hates nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be always renounced. One who does not desire the fruits or neither hates. Hates means when there is some difficulty or some obstacle. So immediately what comes out is our frustration. So one who is above both, one who neither hates nor he desires the fruit of his activities, is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all duality, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty Arjuna. So Kṛṣṇa is explaining here that one who is actually renounced, what is his platform? Let us see the purport. One who is fully in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is always a renouncer. Renounce, you understand? One who is not under the false impression of me and mine. Everyone in this world is under the false impression of I, me, and mine. What is the understanding of I or the self? Is the body. Or to the extent one is on the mental platform, he identifies himself with his mind. But truly speaking, he is beyond both. And mind, that anything which relates or connects both to the body and the mind. So one gets attached to it. So here, Kṛṣṇa is saying that one who is actually a renouncer, he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his action. So this is one characteristic or quality. Because in this world, every one of us are influenced or are motivated by what is the outcome in the form of result or reward. So one who feels neither hatred nor desire for the result of his action. So what it means? That is not motivated by the result or the reward. The motivation is to perform the action. That is called karma yoga. But the reward itself is the opportunity to perform action. Such a renouncer dedicated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord is fully qualified in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position in his relationship with Kṛṣṇa. So here Prabhupada is saying one who is truly renounced. How can one be in a position of renunciation from material attachment and aversion if he has cultivated dedication to transcendental loving service of the Lord? So Prabhupada is giving the key. That how one's material attraction can go down when one becomes dedicated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So we must have, all of us, those who are practitioners, must have one defined and dedicated service to perform every day without fail. And by happily performing that service, as it is loving devotional service. Prabhupada said, it is not the burden, it is loving devotional service. If it is performed with loving feelings, so one is situated in knowledge. Prabhupada is saying here, such a renouncer dedicated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord is fully qualified in knowledge. So the spiritual knowledge is revealed into his heart. How? To the extent in his heart, he has the aspiration to serve the Supreme Lord. He knows his constitutional position in his relationship with Kṛṣṇa. So that is the impetus or the motivation or the drive for one to perform service. Otherwise, one is on the sentimental platform. He will not continue long. Unless and until he has been convinced of his constitutional position and his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord. So if he is convinced of the eternal relation with the Supreme Lord, he will not be influenced by the temporary. Everything in this material world is temporary, temporal. But relationship which is of eternal existence is only between the two spirits, the Supreme Spirit and the living spirit, the Jiva. So the Jiva who is in knowledge, one who is actually, see again from here also we can conclude that how without being in knowledge, one cannot realize one's constitutional position. He knows fully well that Kṛṣṇa is the whole and that he is a part and parcel of Kṛṣṇa. So this is knowledge. Knowing the position of Kṛṣṇa, that he is the supreme absolute truth. He is Vasudevam Sarvamiti. He is all in all. So in this way, when one is convinced that Kṛṣṇa is the whole, and also he knows his role. What is his role? He is like a part of a big gigantic machine. So what the part has to do? The part has to become fitted with the machine and assist the machine in performing its function. So similarly, here it is said that Kṛṣṇa is the whole and he is the part and parcel of Kṛṣṇa. Such knowledge is perfect because it is qualitatively and quantitatively correct. The conception of oneness with Kṛṣṇa is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. So this is very clear. Prabhupada's philosophy that the living entity can never be equal to the Supreme Lord. It does not possible. So the question of oneness does not exist. It is only in imagination or illusion. Both. It is both in imagination and in illusion. That the living entity is equal to the Supreme Lord. Knowledge that one is quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge. So we all know that there is a difference between quantity. Quality is the same. Prabhupada gives so many examples to illustrate that what is the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. Any one of you participate? Why this oneness which is talked about is incorrect. Prabhupada is using the word, Prabhupada is using very mild word here. That the oneness between the living entity and the Supreme Lord is incorrect. So what is the correct understanding? I see from Mantra of Life, one hand is up. Who wants to speak?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'm Dolamani Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, you asked the example of this.
Yeah. How this
Prabhupada give example of drop of water and the whole ocean, I mean sea.
Yeah. Please explain.
We are like drop of water, Prabhuji, and the Supreme Lord is like ocean of water.
So
it cannot be one, Prabhuji. Equally, we cannot be quantitatively one.
the drop of water, when it is with the ocean, is it not one? You were giving an example of perfect oneness. A drop of ocean, of water, and the reservoir of water, are they one or are they different?
Different quantity, Prabhuji. Different quantity.
Different in quantity. But what about quality? They are the same. If you take a molecular test of one drop of water, or if you take a big gallon of water from the ocean, will both the properties not be the same?
Yes, Prabhuji. The living entity qualitatively same, Prabhuji, but quantitatively it is different.
What is the difference?
Prabhuji, qualitatively we are like spirit soul, but Supreme Lord is super soul. I mean,
is he spirit or he is non-spirit?
Both are spirit, Prabhuji. Both are spirit. We are also spirit soul and he is supreme spirit.
Then there is oneness? Sameness?
Prabhuji, qualitatively we are one with the, what I told, that one with the Supreme Lord, but in quantity we are different.
So how does it matter? The point is oneness, na? In quality we are the same.
But the thing is, Prabhuji, that
like a drop of blood, like a drop
one cannot
of
be the
blood.
Supreme Lord, Prabhuji. The living entity cannot be the Supreme Lord in any point
Why?
of time. That is the
You prove me wrong. You are saying qualitatively both are same. A drop of blood and the whole blood within the body. Are they not one? Yes or no?
one. But the living entity cannot be the Supreme Lord, Prabhuji. That
You have to give some substantial, grounds or reasons. Just by speaking, it does not, convince me or anyone else. Wait, let him try. Let me see. Only parrot-like speaking is not sufficient. You are giving example of ocean and water. I am giving example of blood, a drop of blood, and the blood which is inside the body. Are they both not same?
same, Prabhuji, same.
Is there any
Both are
difference?
the blood. Yes. Both are blood.
Huh? So why Prabhupada is saying that the concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect? You give me examples. You give some valid reasons for me to be clear about this. I am not convinced. Unmute and speak. You are muted.
I'm thinking, Prabhuji, little bit. I need some more television.
Something which you have been discussing for years. So how you are shaken on that? Manoram Prabhu, you come to help for your friend. Helpline. He needs some help.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, maybe in a different way we can explain. It was, I think, discussed in some classes that the one, it is not one, Jiva are not one with the Supreme, because Jiva are not universally conscious. They know about themselves only. But Supreme Lord, as he is present as a super soul in everybody, so he has that consciousness. He knows about everyone and each one. So in that aspect, a Jiva can never be equal to the Supreme Lord, because he is limited with his own knowledge only, but the Supreme Lord is supremely conscious.
The point Prabhupada is saying, okay, this is one explanation of how the part cannot be equal to the whole. Okay. What are the other arguments or reasons? Who else can explain? Wait, Sonika, let others try. Yes, there, Shil Prabhu, you got time. Now you explain. Why Prabhupada is saying this statement that oneness with Kṛṣṇa is incorrect?
Prabhuji, yes, Munram Jagannath Das also told that the
Don't
jiva
repeat.
cannot be, the jiva cannot be supremely conscious, Prabhuji, at any point of time.
No, don't repeat that. There are many more different, very fundamental differences. But you have to really express that. What is the fundamental difference between a living entity and the Supreme Lord? Dayashil Prabhu?
Prabhuji, he's the supreme controller, Prabhuji. One of the aspect of the Supreme Lord is the supreme controller. But the living entity cannot claim that he's the supreme controller. He's controlled by... Yes, Prabhuji.
The living entity at every stage is controlled. Isn't it? You see your own life. Everything is within the process, within the framework. Can you change it? Can you change your growing up, your aging? And then finally, the soul leaves the body and the body becomes death. So the living entity is controlled at every stage of life. But the Supreme Lord is not controlled by anyone. Rather, he controls everyone else. Okay, good. One aspect. So we see there is no question of oneness. Yes, Sonika, what is your argument? Like a government, like someone says that the individual and the government is the same. Is it the same? Can any individual citizen compare himself with the government? No, not possible. The government can at any time arrest the individual. But the individual, can he arrest the government? No. In material existence, still it is possible that he may vote out the government. But there is no vote required for the Supreme Lord. He remains the Supreme without any change of position. Okay, what are the other differences? Prabhupada is saying that oneness with Kṛṣṇa is incorrect. What is the correct understanding?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just want to give two examples which was quoted by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Okay.
As in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse, Prabhupada has explained one example of gold mine and gold and jewelry. So the gold mine is the source of all the gold. So similarly, the Lord is source of everything, and from that jewelry is just coming, and that is a very and the jewelry came from that gold mine is at in very small amount, very minute, means it is almost negligible amount, and it cannot be compared with the gold mine. And similarly, one other example Prabhupada gave of sun and sun rays, that from sun, all the sun rays, means unlimited sun rays are emanating, but all the sun rays cannot be become a sun.
True. Okay, very good. Two good examples. Who else will contribute? One more very prominent argument to understand that the oneness is incorrect. Yes, Devadatta.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So all the living entities and the jivas are under the controls of the three modes of the nature. But Supreme Lord, the three modes does not work. Rather, he controls he is beyond the three modes.
Okay, good point. Can you take it more philosophically on the principle aspect? What is the principle behind this?
Because the three modes act with the help of the senses. We have
Three modes act on with the help of the senses.
no, means through senses we perceive the world, and because of that we tend to fall into the three different aspects of the three modes, like depending on our habits and eating habits, sleeping habit, and other habits. But our senses are not perfect, so we tend to fall back and forth into different modes. But Lord's senses are perfect, and he is the supreme controller, and hence he is beyond all the three modes.
What is his position? He is energetic. He is Shaktiman. He is the source of all energies. And jivas are his Shaktis, his energy. So all the energies are always under the control of the energetic, the Shaktiman. So one is controlled and the other is the controller. One is emanation and the other is the origin. So both can never be seen. So it is incorrect. Okay? Yes, Manoram Prabhu. Good?
Yes, Prabhuji, I think maybe one clarification in that regard. I think, debated, Prabhuji, that oneness is not possible. But as per Mahaprabhu's, I mean, this Achinto Bhed and Abhed Tattva also, there is oneness and dualities also, means difference.
No, not duality. Oneness and
difference. Yes. So in that oneness and here, this oneness, what is the key difference, Prabhuji?
This is talking about that the jiva trying to be the same in terms of the position of the Supreme Lord as the enjoyer, as the controller, and as the proprietor. This is not possible for jiva. What is the oneness? As the Ashir Prabhupada was explaining, the oneness is of quality. What is the quality? Both are eternal. The living entity is also eternal, and the Supreme Lord is also eternal. Nityo, Nityanam. Both are conscious. The Supreme Lord is supremely conscious. He is conscious of all living entities. But the living entity is conscious, as you mentioned, only to the extent of his body. Both are independent. But the living entity is dependent in a very restricted way. But the Supreme Lord is supremely independent. He is Swarat. Rather, on him, everyone else is dependent. So Mahaprabhu emphasized both. So that is what it is part. Part means it is distinct. There is a bheda. It is not the same. So many times we have discussed. But it is also parcel. Parcel means what? It is a bheda. It is not different. Why the part is made? To attach, to support the whole. So the perfection and the completeness of the living entity is when it comes in communion with the Supreme Lord and it performs devotional service. That is the perfection. But the status does not change. He remains part, which is the bheda or the distinction, and he cannot be separated because he is parcel. It is a bheda. So Mahaprabhu taught this philosophy. So he unified and resolved both the aspects, that there is simultaneous oneness and difference. Okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So here, and who will know this? One who has realized his constitutional position. Not everyone or anyone. The concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. Knowledge that one is one in quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge. This is not common knowledge or general knowledge. It cannot be acquired by IQ. So how it is to be realized or experienced? Because one is situated in transcendental knowledge. 4th chapter is transcendental knowledge. And we discussed how one can receive transcendental knowledge. What is the process of receiving transcendental knowledge? How one can be situated in transcendental knowledge? What did Kṛṣṇa recommend in the 4th chapter? Then all this oneness and differences will be very clear. There will be no doubt whatsoever. Yes, Pradeep Prabhu, how to receive that transcendental knowledge? Who can receive that transcendental knowledge? From the 4th chapter. Pradeep Prabhu, I am asking you. Are you hearing?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Who is situated in that boat of transcendental knowledge, where all these tattvas are clear to him? What is his position? What is the position of the Supreme Lord? How there is unison? What is the oneness? What is the distinction? What is part? What is parcel? And what is the perfection? Very famous verse. We discussed the 4th chapter. Pranav Prabhu, what is the process?
Prabhuji, by submissively approach to bona fide spiritual master, tadvidi pranipatana pariveshmanasya.
Updeshanti te jnana jnaninam tattva darshana. So that jnana, tattva darshana. What is that tattva darshan? The difference of the living entity and the Supreme Lord. That is the tattva. And the oneness also between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. So that tattva, that jnana is imparted by the spiritual knowledge. They can see the difference and they can also see the oneness. You go further. One is in quality different and in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge, leading one to become full in himself, having nothing to aspire or to lament over. So how one comes to the position of being without seeing this material existence? Everyone has aversion and attachment. Can anyone say he is free from both aversion and attachment? So aversion is the reflection of one having attachment. There is aversion only when there is attachment. And attachment means ignorance. So attachment and aversion will keep the living entity always in duality. The one who is in duality, he is always in bondage. And one who is in bondage, how can he experience happiness? Sukhaṁ, bandhāt pramucyate. Bandhāt means bondage, and pramucyate means when one is freed. So one can experience that happiness only when one is free from bondage. And how to be free from bondage is to be situated in knowledge. Then all these conceptions are clear to him. There is no duality in his mind, because whatever he does for Kṛṣṇa. Thus, being freed from the platform of duality, he is liberated even in the material world. Then Kṛṣṇa explains further that how both the paths of karma yoga and karma sannyas, both are beneficial, as Kṛṣṇa spoke in the second verse. So we will explain that in the fourth verse. See the fourth verse. Sankhya yoga pritag bala pravadanti na pandita ekamapi astita samyak ubhor vindate phalam. So Sankhya means the element of knowledge. And from knowledge, one becomes renounced. So Sankhya means the analytical study of the material world, of the 24 elements. It is Sankhya. And what is yoga? Yoga means work and devotion, or action in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So one who accepts Sankhya and yoga to be prithak, that is the verse. Prithak means different. What is his position? He is Balaha. Kṛṣṇa is saying he is Bala. Bala, you understand? Balak. Balak means he is immature. Pravadanti na pandita. Pandita means one who is learned. And pravadanti means to speak or to say. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, which is karma yoga, or here it is mentioned as yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, which is Sankhya. Be very clear to what aspect Kṛṣṇa is explaining, because Kṛṣṇa is explaining to Arjuna's inquiry, what he inquired about not performing the prescribed action. Sannyāsam karmanam Kṛṣṇa. So that is the path of accumulating knowledge, the speculative approach to gain knowledge. And yoga is the path and the process of performing devotional service. So Kṛṣṇa is saying only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Hearing this, many will speak that, oh, if both are not different, then how is it that yoga is superior? Why did Kṛṣṇa recommend Arjuna that for you see in the second verse, Kṛṣṇa says, karma yoga visheshyate. If the karma sannyas and the devotional service, yoga, karma yoga, are the same, so how karma yoga is visheshyate? So that Kṛṣṇa will explain. He says how they are the same. This Kṛṣṇa explains very beautifully in the next line. Ekam api astitha samyak. That both are same in terms of giving the same result or the goal. There is diversity in the path, but there is unity in gold. Are you with me? समझ में आ रहा है? So he's saying ekam api astita samyak. Ubhayor vindate phalam. So ubhayor means both. And vindate means enjoys phalam. So one who is practicing either of these two will automatically enjoy the fruit or the result of both. How that will happen? Kṛṣṇa will explain. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world. So are you with me? Two aspects are being discussed. Karma sannyas and karma yoga. Are you clear on this? I hope there is no confusion. And Kṛṣṇa is saying, karma yoga visheshyate. That for you, Arjuna, karma yoga is better than karma sannyas. So the translation says, only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world. Why? Not both are same. But how both are same? Who has understood? Here also, what is the oneness? If both are same, then why two processes are being recommended? Yes, Ramya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in terms of oneness, Lord's energy and Lord's are non-different. So, all the material things that is Bhumi, Rapo, Analubayo are Lord's energy. So
that's okay. I am discussing in terms of these two principles or these two processes. What are the two processes? Sankhya and yoga. So I speak now. That Sankhya, yoga and Prithak. Prithak means different, is Bala, is immature. And it is talked about whom? Those who are not situated in knowledge. So that means there is oneness. So what is that oneness?
Prabhuji, the 24 Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The 24 material element are also Lord's energy, and study of that is also indirectly study of Lord.
No, different. That is the process of speculative knowledge. Whereas the other is the path of performing loving devotional service. So how there are ekam api? Kṛṣṇa is saying here ekam api. Ravindra Prabhu, how it is ekam api?
In both the process, the jiva can at last liberated, but the one process.
This is very important. I hope you have not just. Okay, explain. Very good. If you can explain.
In Sankhya Yoga, first of all, one will study the material nature, and after that he will. This process is the indirect process, and after that study, he will know about the
difference between matter and spirit. Yeah. So what he will do, he will detach from matter and he will situate himself into the spirit.
Yes, yes.
And what is the other process?
Other process is direct process. One who is engaged in devotional service, he directly serves to the Supreme Lord and attain the Supreme at the end.
Yeah. See, one is the process of detachment and the other is the process of connection. So in the former, which is Sankhya, one is detaching from matter. But in yoga, one is attaching with spirit. So they are both one. Detaching from matter and attaching to spirit. It is ekam. And as you said, the result or the reward of both is the same. it both liberates from material existence. So ekamapi astita samyak ubhyor vindate phalam. Those who are actually learned say that who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. This is also very incomprehensible, that if you apply one, you will achieve the result of the other itself automatically. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the super soul. Kunti Devi gives a very beautiful prayers. Atha Vishvesha Vishvatma Vishwamurti Swakeshume. Can you find that verse? It is in 1st canto, 8th chapter, and something around 34 or 35 verse. So Kṛṣṇa is Vishva Isha. Isha means the controller. So he is the controller of the entire world. Vishva Isha. And he is Vishvatma. He is the super soul of each and every living entity. He is residing in the heart of each and every living entity as the super soul. So he is the Vishvatma. And he is Vishwamurti. He is the personality of the Supreme. So here Prabhupada is saying that in the Sankhya, what one has to do? One has to find the soul of existence. What is the soul of existence? Paramatma, super soul. Atha Vishvesha Vishvatma Vishwamurti Sukeshu Sneh Pasham Imam Chinde Drinushu Pandishu Vishnusu. You just type Sneha Pasham. Sneha, S-N-E-H-A, Sneha, and Pasham, P-A-S-A-M. You will find the verse.
41st one.
1841. Anyway, we will move forward because I have to offer lamp also. I will, try to conclude 5 minutes before 9 at least. So the concept, okay. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. So this is the direct process. And Gyan is, as Ravindra Prabhu said, the indirect process. Why? Because devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree. What is that process? That is the Sankhya process. Is to find the root as to who is there, who is the source of everything. And the other is to water the root. So you tell me which is more superior. Is to find the root or to water the root? Which is more required? So Sankhya is like finding the root, as Prabhupada said. The aim of analytical study of this material world is to find the soul of existence. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two. Because the aim of both is Vishnu. So this is ekam api asthita samyak. Those who do not know the ultimate end say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same. But one who is learned knows that the unifying aim is in different processes. So in a way, Kṛṣṇa is rebuking and chastising Arjuna again and again in Bhagavad Gita. You see how he rebukes? He says, Balaha, you're like a child, Arjuna. You are unnecessarily confused. And you are speaking, Pravadanti na Pandita. You are not speaking like a learned man. You are speaking like a ignorant man who is attached, who is influenced by aversion and attachment both. Okay, we'll take the next verse also. One more verse we'll take. Yat sankhye prapyate sthanam tad yogerapi gamyate. Krishna is reinforcing again. Yat sankhye prapyate sthanam. The highest reward or the result that you can achieve by practicing the path of Sankhya Yoga. Yat Sankhya Prapte Sthanam. Tad Yogir Api Gamyate. So Krishna is very casually speaking that even the most erudite teacher of Sankhya is there. And whatever position he reaches by practice of Sankhya, Krishna says, Tad yogi rapi gamyate. The yogi very easily attains it. He does not have to put so much of strenuous effort or endeavor or such tapasya. Evam Sankhyam cha yogam cha. So one who sees the oneness in both, sa pashyati, ya pashyati, sa pashyati. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service. It's very prominent. And one is fully convinced that Krishna Bhakti kaile sarva karma krit hoye. Shraddha sabde vishwash kahe shudir nishchay. So he is firmly fixed. By performing devotional service, he will be receiving the highest reward. And who therefore sees analytical study and the devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Krishna is so much recommending. Yaha pashyati sapashyati. One who can see the oneness and difference both. Okay, I'll stop here. I'm stopping a little early. Any discussion? See how Krishna is in a deliberate way, in a detailed way, he is bringing the principle out. Yes, Sonika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In 5th verse, it was told that both analytical study and devotional service, if one can see both as equal, and then they can see everything as they are. So Prabhuji, here it is Krishna is explaining about the oneness of both the process, right?
Yeah, you understand what is the oneness? What is the oneness
goal.
here?
The goal.
The goal in terms?
In terms of liberation.
Yeah.
In terms
Both
of
will
liberation.
release one from the bondage. Both one will free one from material existence. Both have the empowerment to release the living entity, whoever is the practitioner, from the bondage of material existence. So in that way, both are same. Ekam Sankyam cha Yogam cha. So one who can see that in this way, sa pashyati, ya pashyati, sa pashyati. So he is actually the seer, who can see things as they are. Okay. Clear, not clear? If you're not clear, further ask.
Yes, Prabhuji, clear.
What is the clarity? Please share.
How the karma sannyas and this Sankhya philosophy is related, Prabhuji, that I could not understand.
What are you hearing then? What is karma sannyas?
Prabhuji, renouncing the fruit of action, Prabhuji, karma sannyas.
No, still not clear. Karma means action, and sannyasa means giving up. The one who gives up the prescribed action, prescribed duty. That is karma sannyasa. That is why karma sannyasa is banned in Kali Yuga. Have you heard it or not? We have discussed many times. One who does not perform his prescribed duty because it is very painful. It inflicts so much of trouble. So why to perform to get trouble? Rather, drop it. So that is escapism in one sense. But what is the purpose? The purpose is to gain knowledge. That is what they put all their focus and energy in, and trying to delineate from matter and know the Supreme Lord. That is what Prabhupada is speaking in the 4th verse. The aim of analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of material world is Vishnu or the super soul. So this is all about Sankhya. That is the Gyan Marga. And Bhakti is which Marga? It comes under the Karma, Nishkam Karma Yoga. So both are different or are they the same?
Yes, Prabhuji, it is different. But I am somewhat confused because in the 5.2
Why you are confused? Because you are not hearing. Wait, you are not hearing. So how the confusion will be cleared? You first understand what is Sankhya. Have you understood what is Sankhya?
Prabhuji, as you told that it is like they will study the 24 elements of this material world and they
Not
will
like a
detach
parrot.
themselves from the matter.
They are yet detaching themselves from the matter. They feel that if they perform action, action will bring reaction. So what they do? They turn away from their prescribed duties. You don't want to perform action. But is it possible for anyone to remain in this material world without performing his prescribed action? What is the verse number 5 of the 3rd chapter?
No, Prabhuji, one cannot, even for a moment, one cannot be without any action.
Yes. And yoga means performing devotional service. So I said one is trying to be detached. What is trying to be detached from the material world, from the material existence, from the material body, from the material reaction. But where is the engagement? Or where is the attachment? He has not cultivated any spiritual attachment. He is just on the platform of negation, of giving up. But what is the gain? What is the ultimate gain? So that is the mahā-bāho sannyasis. They don't want to perform action because the action will bind them. Whereas in the path of devotional service, one performs all actions. Rather, he is hyperactive. See the life of Srila Prabhupada and all other acharyas. Till the last breath of their life, they are so active in propagating Krishna consciousness.
They are also eligible for liberation, Prabhuji. They are also, because in the 2nd verse, Lord says that renunciation of work and devotion are both good for liberation, or they are on the path of liberation.
Yes, but they will only go to the level of liberation. And because they do not have any positive engagement, what is the situation?
They will again fall down, Prabhuji.
And what is not clear to you? Why you are not applying your principle which you know?
Now I could relate both of these. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I have to close now because I won't be able to go to the temple. It's just 5 minutes left. Thank you very much. Wishing you all a very happy Deepavali. Let the inner light within our heart be enlightened by the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Tesham eva anukampartham aham ajnana jamatam. This is the promise that Kṛṣṇa is giving, that I will forever remove darkness and ignorance from your heart. Let the message of Bhagavad Gita prevail in our heart and guide us.